All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome to the stream, everyone. Welcome to hope everyone's having a good week so far. Good 2023. I guess for the month of January, I guess I can keep saying that. I'm Eric. I'm your host, photographer, editor, and meister of all things tea, in a Nicolas Cage mug. Thank you to Stephanie for getting me that. So hello, Shelby Lynn. Hello from Texas, and congratulations on toe movement. We at this channel are like gonna make it blanket statement. We always support the moving of toes. I think that's I think that's an uncontroversial statement to make, but that's our hot take for today. You cannot see it, but I myself am moving my toes in celebration of this. So keep it up. Anyway, welcome to the channel and to the stream, to Shelby Lynn and to everyone else who is out there moving their toes. Or if you're not, you don't have to move your toes to be part of this. Evelyn and Mia, you two do have to move your toes. If you are not moving your toes right now, your mom will shut the stream off. So make sure your toes are wiggling. Anyway, welcome everybody, everyone else. Today we are obviously doing more photo editing. We're going to be doing some photos from Vermont, where I spent some time there in summer of 2020. So I've got a few different areas that we're gonna go through. So get ready for some nice lush forests, maybe some reflections, some lake stuff, and one just real top-notch bear. That's what we're gonna be doing. As always, the purpose of this stream and this channel is to share the editing process, to pull the curtain back on the editing process, to make it as accessible as possible for anyone who is curious. So if you have questions, if you have comments, if you are a photographer or an editor and want to share your work in the chat, by all means, please feel free. As much as we can make this an open forum, I want it to be. And then also, I think those are all the main spiel. Continuing, we still have postcards. Postcards are still available from both my website and my Etsy shop. You've got 4 different designs here. There's Marjorie Glacier in Glacier Bay. There we go. Disappears into the light there. Yeah, Marjorie Glacier in Glacier Bay. Natural Bridge in Virginia. Antelope Canyon on the Navajo Nation in Arizona. And Dream Lake, there it is, Dream Lake in Rocky Mountain National Park. So those are all available for purchase, and you can use them to connect with whoever you want, send them to people you haven't talked to in a while, send them to random strangers. Pick a random address and send somebody a card and say, I think you're cool, I'd like to make a new friend. So, available, that's what they're there for. And they all have a QR code on the back, which there it is, QR code on the back. Just angle it toward the camera, dude. Okay. They all have a QR code on the back where your recipient can scan the card, and we'll get to add their location to the map, and then you can see the whole map and see everywhere that the cards have been, which is really cool. So those are available both at my website, which is twistedinnature.zenfoliosite.com, or on my Etsy store, which is just Twisted in Nature Photography, and you can find both of those through my Instagram or my Facebook, which is just Twisted in Nature. So that's where to look. This is a fruit sangria tea, which is absolutely delicious. It's a black tea that is just so deliciously fruity and sweet. I love it. Okay. With that all said, I think that's everything to talk about. So let's go ahead and jump into Lightroom. So here we are. This is a bear. This is a great bear. He's, just kind of hanging out up on the top of Stratton Mountain, just being real adorable with his cute little derpy face and his paw reached out to wave at you. I normally Stratton Mountain, or not normally, in the winter, Stratton Mountain is a ski resort. So just imagine getting to the top of a ski lift and coming off and seeing this dude standing there greeting you. God forbid they do night skiing. But anyway, it's not the photo we're going to be editing, just the one I wanted to pick up with and to have a look at. What we're going to do, Not gonna edit the photos of my family. Those are a little weird. At least weird to edit on stream. Let's see. I got some. Let's start with some pathways through the foggy wood. That was the cool thing about being up in Stratton Mountain on this day. Is that like we were all excited to go up there and get. There's this fire tower, which is here, which is known for just these magnificent views. And we were all excited to get up there and take a look. And then we get up there, and inside the tower looks like this. It was a very, very foggy day, which, you know, not ideal for looking at big views, but for photos like this, adds tons of atmosphere. So, I'm going to talk like a lot about photography as, you know, artistic expression and as going out to take photos as I framed this weirdly, as an exercise in not just in making pretty photos, but in creativity and finding things to create as well. So part of the fun of this is let's see if we can make something cool out of these photos, even though the situation, I'm not even gonna say wasn't ideal. In many ways, you know, if I was looking for fog, it was a phenomenally beautiful day. If fog was what I was expecting, it wasn't. But this is now about turning something like that, turning this into something like that, and yeah, you don't get to pick what nature gives you. You just get to make something of it. So here we go. So this first photo I'm going to start with. I like this one the best of the group. I want to pull that out a little bit. And the thing I like about this one more than the rest is that you get this nice kind of S curve. The path up to that little clearing up there, up to the sky, makes this really nice S. And it kind of guides you from either from the sky down to the ground or from the ground to the sky or wherever. Yes. Hey, Stephanie. Yes, we continue to be excited about moving toes. Everyone who joins the stream has to state their opinion on toe movement at some point. Or, I don't know, you don't count. Or you're a rotten egg. Who knows? Okay, so let's start working on this one. Where do I want to go with this? Because this is one of those ones where I like, the thing I love about it, I love that S. I love that's the brightest thing and the thing you notice. So I don't want to, like, typical wisdom says do this. Typical wisdom says up the exposure a tiny bit, brighten the whole thing up, turn it into a, you know, get a more even histogram over here. Maybe bring the whites down so you get, like, yeah, conventional wisdom says do that. Which looks fine, but I think is substantially less interesting than this, and I think I want to be able to keep some of this. So let's start with clarity. Clarity, I'm always, you guys know me. You guys know me. I'm a bit of a strumpet for clarity in landscape photos. I love texture. I love just the crisp detail that clarity gives, and I love the dark shadows that it often pulls out. But in this case, I think it really helps. And we're going to be doing some more adjustment with that. Let me go with dehaze, because I do love dehaze. Dehaze is helping to get that S curve in there. That's a little aggressive right now. So we're going to do this piece by piece. A little bit of that. Texture? Nah, texture I think I'm going to save for something else. Yeah, there we go. Toe movement confirms not ghost. It has been decreed. All right, let's see. I'm going to play with color a little bit later on. I just want to work on I want to bring the shadows up a little bit, but I want to bring the blacks down, which will give us, yeah, I hear you, Shelby, and I'm going to lean into the fantastical nature of this photo as well. Honestly, dehazing the other direction might actually be the way to go, but we're going to start with this. Start with that. Nope. Start with that. There we go. So start by bringing the shadows up and the blacks down. What I'm doing is I'm keeping the kind of the brightness of those sides, like I'm keeping it low, so we're still definitely seeing that lightning bolt of light coming through the middle, but it's also letting me bring in some detail, and so it's more a formed collection of trees than anything else. Okay, I think I need to. All right, first things first. I'm doing a second version. We're gonna actually hang on a second. Let me undo that. First things first. I'm gonna do some masking, because that's the real thing I got to do here. This photo is masked. All right. So step one. Right. First things first. I want not that. All right, here. Yeah. So we're gonna start with a brush. We're gonna brush in the pathway down here. I don't need this in black and white. Actually, color helps in this one. So let's bring the feathering back up. Let's bring the flow up. I want the whole thing here. There we go. I was working on a photo last night and I had the flow down because I was working on trying to get some small details. All right, so this is gonna get us kind of to there. It's pretty good. Let's go a little wider so I can kind of get a softer edge kind of all the way down. Get that rock in a little bit. Okay, cool. I can actually go all the way up to about there, and then I start running into trees. So then we're going to add a luminance range, going for the overexposed stuff, and we're going to turn that way down. There we go. That's a start. Okay, cool. Let me see the luminance map. Yeah, that's better. That's pretty good. All right. A little bit more so we get, yeah, I'm gonna do it like that. I'm gonna add another one, luminance. I want to get this section here, and that is gonna require a little more panache because we got to get that section there, also pulling some of the blackness out. That's not bad. Let me see the map. Okay, good. So we'll get that. That works. Come back to our mask here. All right, and now we're going to subtract with a brush. And I'm going to I'm going to switch to the black and white, and I'm going to switch my color here to red because that will stand out much nicer here amongst all the trees that are supposed to be green. And now I can erase everything that isn't part of that S-curve. Those little bits of light peeking through the sky, which are good and look pretty, but not what I want here. With the sky, light peeking through, a little bit of sky peeking through. Okay, here we go. Now we got to get creative. But we're going to get rid of some of these branches. So I have to come back and touch some of this up a little bit later, but for now, a lot of this. So that's actually pretty good. This spot right here could use a little bit. There we go. That like that. This whole section here. I'm gonna leave some of those spots and kind of work on them as we go. Most of that looks okay. This stuff right here. Nah, that's a little one for now. We'll come back to it if we need to once we actually start applying effects. All right, let's get rid of some of this. Let's get rid of all this. Let's see how that works for now. All right, turn the overlay off, and now can up the texture on that, can up the highlights on that, can push it a little more toward gold. Maybe I think I might just up the saturation. Bring the saturation up, nice. Bring the shadows a little bit if we wanted to. I don't know if we need to. I kind of like the texture of that. Cool. All right, so now what I want to do is do a duplicate and invert. So we have a mask that covers everything else. I'm going to subtract brush because I want to get rid of stuff that's no business being down here. Leave my path alone. Good, good, good. And now here, we can play with the texture a little bit. We can also, we're going to push the colors a little more toward green. We're going to dehaze a little more, get some darker in there, just not losing the texture. We're going to turn the shadows down a little bit. Nah, I don't know. Actually, I want to leave them alone. Sort of might not need a whole lot more. There we go. Just like that. That looks pretty cool. Let me see the overlay on this one. Where's my brush here? I want to make sure I'm getting this whole. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Good. So yeah. All right. So first take on this photo. Don't need a new mask. Need the masks to go away. Let's come down to our color selector, our color adjustments. Can I just keep this, guys? Thanks. Hey, Lightroom, if anyone from Adobe is watching, and you guys could put in a thing to lock that, so I don't have to worry about clicking it off, that'd be nice. All right. Let's see, coming down to colors. Let's see what I want to do. I kind of want to push those greens a little bit. Not so much want to darken them. Oh, actually, we brighten them up. We bring the yellows down. Is that the way to go? Let's see. So yellow is kind of the one that covers everything. Orange is mostly just that road, which is fine. I don't really want to do anything with that. Brightening it up is pretty good. Even desaturating it a little bit and letting it be, because it doesn't need much. It actually looks pretty good as it is. Lightroom, leave my control panel alone. I have never once wanted to get rid of that. I could bring the greens up and push them a little bit more toward blue. Ooh, actually, I kind of like pushing a little toward yellow. I'm not kidding. I normally hate that, but I kind of like that a little bit right now. Let's do that. Let's see. Is there any red in that path? I feel like there might be. No, it doesn't look like not really any red in this photo at all. Okay. Cool. So sharpness looks fine. If I zoom in here, it's a little noisy in some of those bright spots, but it's not too bad. I'm actually I'm actually impressed with that. I am gonna try to throw the denoise up on here to see what it does. If I lose too much detail, I really don't. It's actually pretty good. Okay, we'll stick with that. Especially cranking the texture up the way we did. Okay, let's go ahead and close that. I think the one other thing I want to do with this is I want to crop it a little bit more, like maintaining that. But I've got these two little clearings on either side that I kind of want to get rid of. And let this photo be a little more. You know what? If I even pull this in more, this might be going a little too portrait. But actually, it's got to stay balanced. That's for sure. This photo, the symmetry of it is important. Something like that. Just looking at the little navigator window up there and trying to find just the right aspect ratio where you follow the curve of it. It's pretty good. What is that? That's almost 1:1. That legit is 1:1. Okay, perfect. We'll do a 1:1 print of this. Perfect for Instagram, which nobody likes. All right, let's see. We're gonna unlock that. We're gonna go a little bit up here with this. We're gonna come up like that, just a bit, which actually probably makes it closer to a 5:4. Let's reverse. Let's turn that sideways. There we go. And then we can open it all the way. Something like that. That's pretty good. I'm gonna do another version. I'm gonna do another copy of this that's the wider crop, because I do like the wider crop as well, but I do like the zigzagness of this. All right, cool. So that looks good. Yeah, let's do a couple more versions of this photo, because I'm really digging that. Let's do another version, and this time we're just gonna change the crop. All we're gonna do, we're going to switch this crop to a wider crop. Pull this up, pull it down so we get the whole thing, and we're gonna go right about like that, finding that right balance between for anybody who uses Lightroom to edit photos, you have the option for the overlay down here, which can give you which can give you the grid, and then if you're rotating, it'll give you that. I've turned it off mostly because it tends to it tends to make you focus on following, the rule of thirds, or following, just, I don't know, it makes it too easy to try to reshape the photograph into something it might not be, and you might end up missing a really good composition because you're focused on trying to fit something into rules that the photo itself doesn't want to fit into. So, yeah. That looks pretty cool. All right. Now we're going to do another copy. I'll do 2 more versions of this. I want another virtual copy, please. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to have 4 of these. But the 4th one will come in a second. So I'm going to stick with it. So here we go. So this one here. Actually, take that back. Get rid of that. I want the wider one for this. And that crop still feels a little bit wrong. So, I think it's about finding the right level of unbalance. That looks good. Okay, cool. I'm sure we're clipping up in the sky there. I do not care. That is honestly fine. Like, it's a little bright. I could bring the... Let me see if I can bring the whites down. Nope, not you. You. Like, I can bring the whites down. That's just going to end up... Yeah. When does that become okay? And when is that a problem? When does that become okay? Like, are we still clipping? We're not actually. Okay, let's pull it back until we keep going until we start clipping. So right about there. Yeah, it's a little better. Gives us a little more personality. Cool. All right, that is -15. Let's go ahead and set that here just so it's done. Whites. -15. I could have just synced that, but decided don't need to. Okay, cool. And that's the thing about an adjustment like that is usually there's not, like, you can do that, but it's not going to be. If you if you have something that's overexposed and clipping, or underexposed and too black, if you push it just to the point where it isn't clipping anymore, like you kind of just push it like a step back over that line, it's not going to make a huge amount of difference. Like, you're not going to visually see a difference. It's just the difference between, white, intentionally white, and white so bright that, like, screens and printers have trouble rendering it. So visually doesn't really make a difference, but makes a difference for putting the whole thing together. So that looks good. Okay. So we're going to do a virtual copy of this, of the wider one. And this is where we're going to lean into the fantastical nature of it, which means lowering the dehaze. We're going to go foggy forest kind of thing. We're going to bring the dehaze all the way down. We're going to bring the clarity down. And this is going to look like a mess for a little while. Keep the texture up because we want it to still have that energy to it. Let's go to our mask and turn them both off for now. 1, 2. Cool. There we go. Now this looks like a mess. We'll get there. All right. Let's see. We're going to reset all of our sliders here so that we can play with it. All right. We've lowered the clarity and the dehaze. We've turned the texture up. That's what we got so far. Yep. Nice and, yeah. And because we shot raw, we've got the information to pretty much do this. This is not actually, doesn't seem to be degrading the photo at all. If I go into, give me the navigator back, guys. I go into 100%, there's really not a lot of noise. And the only noise reduction we did was on the masks, and we've taken that off. So, yeah, that looks pretty good as a start. Now, Fantastical Forest, we're going to want to turn up the saturation and the colors. We will do that as a later step. Probably saturation rather than vibrance. But that'll be a later step. For now, we're going to lean into some of this. Let's actually do want the white clipping mask on for this one, because we are overexposed, and that's fine. Where's the line? There's the line, something like that. Okay, good. You can push the shadows up a bit. Keep the blacks still kind of down. We still want a bit of that energy to it. I'm going to put the dehaze back for the moment. I'm going to do that with the masks. Let's go ahead and turn those masks back on, because they are giving us they're giving us some color. Here we go. Now we're going to dehaze the forest, and we're going to dehaze the other one. We're going to do it in different amounts so that they complement each other. The clarity a little bit higher. We're going to bring the texture down on this. We don't need the texture all the way up the way it was before. Let's see. The difference here is that, yeah, highlights and overexposure are going to be very easy to spot with something like this. Subtract brush with a lower flow. I'm going to clean up that area down there a little bit. Let me see the overlay. Okay, cool. So we are. Sometimes I forget how occasionally low energy the flow brush is. Something kind of like that. I feel like there's more to do. We're going to come back to that. Let's work on this other mask. We already dehazed this. Let's see, a little bit of highlighting. Push it further toward green, a little more toward blue even. We're going to affect some of this. There we go. Zigzag through that a little bit. There we go. It was some kind of an enchanted forest. I guess, yeah, going to purple just dulls the whole thing. So I'm going to stick with some blue. Stick with the blues and greens. Alright, let's go back to here. Push that path a little more toward yellow. Give us a bit of a yellow brick road kind of thing. We're going to keep the green in there. Alright, cool. Where's my brush? That's a subtract brush. Where's my actual brush? Thank you. I can kind of capture some of this. And we end up having this interesting double layering sort of effect up along the end there, which I'm actually enjoying really nicely. We can play with some of that. Cool. That spot down there still needs something new. Let's do another mask with a new brush. Just get this section down there. So I want that brighter, a little bit sharper, not quite that sharp. Somewhere in the middle. Yeah, really give me a choice. Okay, we're gonna play with this as something like that. Extend it a little bit so it kind of feels like it's fitting in. There we go. Still a little too bright. Turn those highlights down. I kind of extend back a bit with a lower flow. Good, good, good. Texture's doing nothing, almost nothing. Clarity is way too harsh, I think. Yeah. Dehaze is going to be too aggressive of darkness or too aggressive of an effect anyway. This one's going to be subtle. Clear some of this off a little bit in the lighter way. about that little clearing down there. I think we should bring the saturation up. Just got to find that right little adjustment that makes it click together for me, and I haven't found it yet. That's probably better. That's probably the closest I've come so far. I keep working on it. It's starting to lean into that fantastical nature. Let's bring the highlights up. I don't know. Something about that yellow down there is bugging me. I'm going to keep working on this one. Let's see. Might have been it. Might be the trick. At least a start anyway. All right, I'm gonna put this photo on hold and come back to it because I feel myself like kind of hitting my head against the wall. So let's set a rating of 2 on that one. Gonna set a rating of 3 on this one, which we're happy with. Turn off the cropping. Same deal. Rating of 3 here because we like that one. And let's move along to see what other photos we got from this day. Let's go back to the library here. We can kind of scroll through. Entering shots from under the fire tower. Those could be kind of fun. I did do one of these that was where we were looking over the trees, and you see the before and the after. So. In some ways, I think that one's better because it's hazy for some photos. Let's see. Let's do this one, actually. This one looks kind of cool. Yeah, looking down at the trees, I think that's the way to go. All right, so let's open up our aspect ratio. Let's do... This is one that I am going to turn on the grid because I want to get myself centered along that central beam. I think that's pretty good. Something like that. Yep, cool. Okay, cool. So turn that off. Now we can crop this to where it needs to be, which I think is about like that. I'm shooting on a bit of an angle here, so getting this exactly right is not going to happen, but that makes it kind of fun. Nah, let's not use that one. Stick with this. Okay, cool. Pull that one over as far as we can. All right. So we can dehaze for sure. That was something we can do. Clarity up is probably a good idea. It's going to give us some nice texture in the trees. There we go. Texture in general is going to be a good idea for this. It pulls everything out of the haze. You have these nice hazy trees in the background. Got a little bit of noise in there, but that's not too much of an issue. We brighten that up. That'll solve that problem, hopefully, very nicely. You can always overdo it, though. That's always part of the problem. I go too white. Yeah, we start getting that. All right. We'll stick with something like that, because that also brightens up the beams here, which is good. Let's see. Bring up the shadows isn't doing us a whole lot. It's brightening up the bottom edge, so we can brighten that up a little bit. It's not really actually it's affecting everything. So let's do that as a brush. And then bring up the blacks. Not really. Don't really want to. I'm gonna crop this in a little bit. I'm gonna get rid of the bottom there. Good. Yeah, that's better. Makes it more about this thing. I feel like I want to rotate this a little bit more. Looking at the thumbnail, I'm still seeing it being a little bit off. That's better. Creating this weird spider thing. This metal spider web. That's more interesting. That's much better. Yes. Okay, good. Here we go. We are in business and we're flying. Okay, so we could dehaze. I don't know if I want to, honestly. I could also, part of me wants to haze it up a little more. I do like having those trees in the background. I think that and shadows are gonna be a linear mask. All right. Let's see. It is getting darker outside. Give me 1 sec, guys. I want to fix my camera. Okay, we're back. I'm gonna make some adjustments. Just gonna, there we go. It's absolutely the wrong slider to be playing with. Let's play with this one. That one's better. A little bit like that, a little bit like that. Cool. Yeah, I can live with that. Okay, anyway, back to this. Back to our photo here, which, noisy, but not a problem. Actually, in some ways I kind of like it, but I'm gonna bring up the luminance. All right, let's see. Color. It is always tempting to kind of push the color on these, and kind of just lean into that sort of lush green forest looking or it's always something for me because my thought is always that my thought is always that like the typical way to do this would be to desaturate and lean into the haze, and I'm kind of don't want to. I kind of want to let the, ooh, there we go. Okay, so yellows are playing a part in this. I kind of like letting it be a little more vibrant, even though it is hazy and spooky. That being said, I would like this guy to not be that way. So let's try. I really don't have to paint this in by hand. I may have to. Let's try luminance first. Let's click that. See what we get. Pull that off of a lot of it. That's a good start. All right, we're gonna add another one. Also luminance. Okay. This is gonna be frustrating. Let me try another mask. Try it with color. See what the difference is. These guys are just too similar. I guess I could just do linear gradients all over the place and have them intersect with each other. That'd be a nightmare. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do this with a brush. Missing Photoshop right now. I guess I could select the subject and see what it gives me. Okay. It's a start, I guess. Okay. We'll add with a brush, and we'll zoom in and start working. 60% should be fine. Actually, 60% probably even that's probably too zoomed in. Let's go to 50. Can I get this? Can I get this done with 30? Probably get done with 30. Give me that back. All right. Let's get a brush that's about the right diameter. And just start getting this area. I always say neatness doesn't count. In this one, it kind of does. Not to like a ridiculous degree. Like you don't have to be exactly between the lines, but it's ideal. You should if you can on this one, because there is a distinct difference between that and this. Because I do want to play with the brightness of it, so I do have to worry about the seams between the two. Sometimes photo editing is a very slow process that is kind of boring. A lot of slow clicking and dragging. Some of those times where a lot of photographers in editing will have a tablet that they can use to adjust this kind of thing, and part of me's thinking it'd be nice to have one of those right now. Part of me's like, I don't know if I'm any more coordinated using a stylus than I am using a mouse. The kind of nice thing about this is that because one of the things I want to lean into here is the texture and sort of the patchiness of this, because you've got like these imperfections on this guy. And so if I don't get everything exactly right, that is not actually too much of an issue, because it'll kind of add, like if I overdraw and end up on, or overflow the lines and end up in the on the trees too much, that'll be noticeable and that'll be kind of a problem. If I don't get everything on the metal, that won't be as much of an issue. because it'll add to the effect I'm going for, which is kind of that grungy rust look and feel. Cool. Good. Got the top done for the most part. Let's work on the bottom. Genuinely wouldn't be surprised. I was thinking about, like, I'm curious what determines the select subject AI. I'm curious how that program is written and what it's designed to look for. I'm wondering if we are gonna end up with a version of it in the future that is select man-made structure or select man-made thing versus selecting natural objects. Because I can imagine if I was doing architecture photography, overshot that one a bit. If I was doing architectural photography, the ability to select the building out of the, out of a landscape would be pretty useful. Getting sloppy on that one. I'm going to zoom in on that one a little more in a second. I want to work on those individually. This guy. There we go. Good. It's also worth, just a general suggestion, when you do this kind of thing, it is worth clicking and starting each stroke as much as you it's worth doing, like, making each stroke sort of its own thing and not trying to do it everything with one stroke, because if you mess up and you want to undo something, you don't have to undo a whole beam or a whole thing. So I'm kind of, if you're hearing me click a lot, that's the reason for that, is I'm sort of doing, each time I click and stop, it's a fail safe. So if I mess up, I can undo it without undoing a whole lot. Nope, that one needs a smaller brush. Go ahead and do that. There we go. I'm now realizing why I haven't edited these photos much before, and the reason is, I didn't want to sit and do this, but because you good people are on stream and I'm having a good day, I'm going to do it for you. Also have no idea if my viewer count on OBS is actually correct, because right now it says nobody's watching. So if you are nobody and you can wiggle your toes, by all means, jump in and say hi. Prove YouTube wrong and tell them that people are actually watching my streams. Nope, way off. There we go. Little section there. Good. Okay, let's see how we're doing. Let's see. Yeah, let's get that spot down there. Let me zoom in. Thank you. Let's actually try to do this right, please. There we go. Good. Sometimes a bigger brush is more precise. It's weird. Sometimes it's true. Okay. This guy's a little patchy. Let's see if we can fix that. That might be bleeding a bit much. I'm going to have to come back and tweak that. All right. Now I'm just going to do the bottom here. Okay. Now we're going to zoom in back to 50%. Actually, we'll go to 60. 66%, 1/3. Now I can get these guys more specifically. Nice. Touch that up a little bit while I'm down here. That was off the side. There we go. Over here. Touch this one up, and this is I'm kind of intentionally being patchy on this guy. Let's get this one. Too big. Let's go smaller. Okay, it's a little rough, but I think that works. Let's go ahead and start playing with it. Starters, highlights. I want to brighten it up. Second, texture, clarity, dehazing. Nah, dehazing is not what I want to do. I want to push it a little bit toward. Ooh, toward blue is actually pretty cool. If I increase the saturation, a little much. Bring up the whites. I want to bring up the shadows, or I want to do the blacks. Actually, shadows up and blacks down. Yeah, that's the way to go. Gets me a little bit of that grunge on it. And actually keeping that down looks pretty good. Okay, cool. It's a good start. Let's keep the whites down. I'm gonna up the exposure by a tiny bit. All right, and now we can do a duplicate and invert, and we'll get the other side of this, which I can then do noise reduction on. That's a bit aggressive. Let's do that later. Let's do that as a global adjustment more specifically. Up those highlights. We're going to play with shadows and dehaze in a sec, so we're going to leave those alone. Keeping the highlights down, but the whites up a little bit. It's probably the way to go. There we go. I'm paying attention to this patch of trees up here. Okay. Let's go back. Actually, let's do the other mask I want to do, which is a linear. It's a linear one. I want it to spread like that. There we go. And we're going to do that to bring up the shadows, so we get a little bit of brightness down there. And then we're going to dehaze a bit, which sort of feels like it's doing the opposite, but it's not. Yeah, darkening the shadows gives us, or brightening the shadows kind of evens this out, and then dehazing kind of crisps them up a little bit. My feeling anyway. Texture. Texture we're kind of fine with. I'll up it a bit. And then clarity I know we've already played with. Let's put this back. All right, let's come down to touch up color a tiny bit. I'm not sure we need to. I'm pretty happy with it. And then we're adding these blues. And usually I'm a proponent of, if you're playing with color, you want to do one color. You want to kind of have the colors kind of all kind of go in the same direction. It's always kind of weird to go, one up and one down, like the sliders next to each other. That's how you get some weird interactions between colors. But in this case, it's kind of working because I want that weird contrast. But yeah, if I bring the greens up a bit and the yellows all the way down, if you look here, you can sort of see that, like, if I bring it up to normal and then if I pull it down, you can sort of see those little lines there. Not as much in this one. This photo actually has a lot of good balance to it that I wasn't expecting. But yeah, here you can kind of see the striations up there. Zooming in is not making them easy to see. Sort of. You can sort of see them. They kind of get lost in the trees. But if you put it back, you don't have that. All right. Okay, got a spot on the lens to clean up right there. Spot on the sensor. Let's get that fixed. Tiny little dot there. Just go to the erase thing. Just like that. Another one there. There's too many more than I see. That's pretty good shape. I think I just cleaned my sensor before we went on this trip. All right. one more thing to do, and that's going to be noise reduction. We'll take a look at some of this. Click this guy. We can select an area of the photo. Yeah, I think this area right here is kind of the good one to look at. We can crank the lumens all the way up, and that's going to end up losing the crispness that's in the photo that we like about those trees. And noise is not the be-all end-all of problems, but we can still adjust it a bit and fix that. And play with it a little. Contrast isn't really doing as much. Color, not so much colored noise. It's not so much the fringing between colors, so much it's just a little bit noisy. I think I kind of want to lean into that, because if I go too high, it ends up looking kind of soft. It ends up sort of having that sort of Play-Doh-y effect. Let's keep it down. Let's keep it like this. It's a little noisy. I can live with that. Yeah, it's not noisy enough to really bother me. Also, certainly not noisy enough to be a problem in any kind of print. All right. So that looks cool. And if we do before and after, there's your difference. The other thing I want to do is I want to make another copy. And I want to do a black and white version. Because I love this composition. And I want to lean into that. So, and in a black and white version, we're going to have some fun. Black and white version, it's about contrast and color. Or not even color, contrast and composition and light. So, yeah. We're going to brighten that guy up. Gonna keep the greens up. I'm going to bring the yellows down and let this sort of be a little bit of a mess. Intentionally. Alright, we got a couple spots on there that we can brighten up with the orange. And also coming up here, coming up here. This is the mask that I'm working on. We can start shifting this in other ways to give it that kind of interesting grunge. If I want it to be pure white, I could do that. If I want it to be a little more grungy and gray, we can do that. It's always fun to do this and then look at what it looks like in color once you've played with all the color sliders in black and white. Purple's not really a thing. Magentas, yeah, not really making an impact. Reds in it even? Nah, not really. Bet greens are more effective now. Yeah, greens are more of a thing. Yeah, let's leave it alone. Yellows, yeah, still playing a part. We're going to bring those down and let that be about the background. And then orange, same deal. Really just affecting those little bits down here. Cool. Okay, let's work on our second mask. Hey, that's what happens when you go too hard with color. Ooh, that looks kind of cool though. Bring that up. Some of those whites up is good. Yeah, I think same deal. Whites up and highlights down. Because that's how we get those trees in the background there. Nope, let's bring the shadows down. Can dehaze it a little bit. That might be the trick. Yeah. A little bit of dehaze. And then shadows up just a touch. we don't lose too much. Actually, if I turn this mask off, tiny adjustments, not really noticing again. But I go to this mask and let's put the shadows back where they were. Yeah, just turn that mask off. The mask is doing us no good in this photo. All right, that's starting to look pretty good. In terms of dehazing the whole thing, we like doing that. That's actually dehazing just the woods, and that's even better. And this one is certainly more noisy. I don't know, actually less than I thought it might be. But now I can use the noise reduction on just this mask, and that keeps a lot of the detail. I like this. I'm going to bring the blacks down just a bit. Actually, no, take it back. I'm going to bring the dehaze down a little more. There we go. Dehaze down, shadows up. Nope, not shadows up. Put those back. Blacks up. Because I don't want to brighten everything. I want to brighten just that little section down here, so we don't lose that into in the composition. All right. So, in color, which is more, yeah, substantially more vibrant, and interesting, and then a black and white version, which, yeah, leans into the starkness and the contrast. Sweet. Set some ratings. Awesome. All right, let's switch not out of Vermont, but to a different location. Let's go to Lowell Lake. Develop. Oh, you want to talk interesting editing? Here's the original of this one. That one came out looking very blue. Mostly because I was just doing a test shot, and I'd been doing star photography the night before, so I hadn't reset my white balance. So yeah, took that shot, realized what it looked like, and then got into post and was like, okay, you know what? This photo actually can look really good with just a little bit of color correction. Again, shoot raw. Might as well just finish the cup. Okay. Let's swing down here toward the end and work on some shots here. Dude in a boat. It was a vertical one I did of him. There we go. Yeah, our dude in a boat. Let's see what we can do with this guy. We're going to pull this up a bit. We do want to keep the shadows of the trees. We're going to pull this down to right around the tree. We're going to push this in, so this guy is our centerpiece. We kind of centered in front of these trees. That actually works out really well. Yeah. Just like that. I feel like I'm working on a tourism thing for this lake. Man, I wish I'd taken this shot a millisecond earlier, so he was just a couple, like half a paddle stroke back. All right. Yeah, some clarity's not going to be the one we want to play with. Dehaze a little bit, but not too much. It's darkening more than I wanted to. Start with that. We're going to bring the shadows up to get those. There we go. Brighten up those trees. Blacks down, so we don't lose the contrast in them. I guess looking brighter already. We're going to bring the highlights down so we get that sky. Look at that. With the whites up so we don't lose the brightness. And do that the opposite way. If I bring the whites down, we're going to get way too dark. No, it's actually pretty good. Then we can put the highlights. We can adjust the highlights kind of where we want them. Then I can play with that with blue. Nice. Okay, I want to push this a tiny bit more toward gold. Just a bit. Just a little tiny bit more. Yeah. Just that little bit to give us a little more of that. Alright, this photo's going to drive me crazy. Trying to get this crop right on this guy. Yeah, we're going to live with that. I'd rather crop around the trees than crop around him. Alright, let's come down to our colors. Obviously blue. We'll do a lot if we play with that. I don't know what it thinks the sky is. Okay, so greens are definitely trees. Let's brighten them up. Let's see, clouds are yellow. That guy's shirt is orange. That's fine. Oh, that's also red. Yeah, there we go. Like that's, though it's also his skin is coming up orange. So we'll bring the reds down a little bit, and we can keep his skin nice and bright. Also worth noting, this man's kayak has a motor on it. That's kind of, I guess, you do what you want to do. But yeah, kayak with a motor, which is cool. All right. I'd also like to point out this lake is not huge. Like I did some drone shots of it. I can actually find that. How many shots looking down? There we go. So yeah, this is no shots of me. Not what I'm looking for. Yeah, this is what that lake looks like. Oh, is that our same dude? I think it's our same guy. No, different color paddle, I think. But yeah, that's what this lake looks like from above. Just the area of Lowell Lake. I think this is meant to be a panorama. It definitely is. I might put that together and see what it looks like. But right now, we're going to go back to editing the shot of this dude. Let's come on down. I'm going to bring the blues down a bit. Keep the aquas up, though. I like that. Okay, what color is the sky? I think that's blue, but you're not really doing much with it. Okay, we're gonna do that as a mask just to really get it to behave. Lightroom, leave my panels alone. That man's shirt is too bright now. Let's bring that down. Something like that. All right, let's adjust our horizon here just to get that right. There we go. Slight adjustments. Actually helps center the whole, or helps balance the whole thing a lot more. Let's see if I'm gonna crop that in a bit, crop this in a bit. Yeah, we can also crop this up a little bit more. There we go. That's better. Look at that, coming along. All right, let's do a select sky mask. I think I only need to do 2 masks on this one. I think the masks here will be pretty easy. Cool. Sky mask selected, which is awesome. I can push that toward blue now. Get that to match everything else. I could put the clarity up. Really don't need to. Actually, pulling the clarity down kind of leans into the idyllic nature of the day. Could dehaze it. Don't really want to. A little more saturation because you have the nice blue of the mountain back there, and I'd like the sky to sort of follow along with it. Yeah, I don't need to put the whites. Shadows are really doing next to nothing, so we'll pull them down just to, again, kind of keep that in line with the mountain. Good, good, good. All right. Let me do a linear mask. Gonna come up to about there. A little bit more, something like this. I was trying to get the water. And then if I tell it, I'm going to try this. I'm going to tell it to subtract the subject. Or him. All right, let me try telling it to subtract the subject, see if it gets rid of the guy for me. It's not too bad, okay. Tell it to subtract people. No people found. There are no people in this photo. Sorry, boat guy. It has been decided you are not a people. I did not mean to delete that mask. I didn't want to delete the whole mask. I wanted just to delete the... Okay, there we were probably fine. Okay. So I'm going to subtract with a brush, real briefly. Just get in here and just clean off some of the little bits here that are easy to do. Not that this one neatness matters less because most I'm just going to be doing is playing with texture. So and having a little more texture on the kayak and stuff is not a bad thing. That's not going to hurt us. Bother with that. Let's clean off his hand though. That'd be nice. Just his hand, not the lake behind him. There we go. That's better. A little bit off the bow of his kayak. A little bit off his backpack. All right. Then we're gonna come down here. Okay. Now I'm gonna add with a brush. I'm gonna reduce keep the flow. Reduce the density down to about 50%. And get this section here because I want the texture in the water, but I also don't want to lose lose him. Okay, like that. So now we can up the texture. Can dehaze a bit. Where's this linear gradient ending? Let's see the overlay here. Because if I move that, yeah, I can get that to bleed over. That'll be better. Yeah, automatically better. I like that a lot. Hell yes. All right, you can pull up the highlights, pull them down. Actually, pulling them down actually might be the better idea, just a little tiny bit. Shadows, shadows up, blacks down, the usual way. Okay, cool. I'm pretty happy with that for the most part. I want to up the vibrance a little bit. I want to push the whole photo a little more toward yellow. There we go. Yeah, no, for some reason, a lot of Vermont, even though a lot of it was, yeah, a lot of Vermont, at least this area of Vermont to me was, it had more, it was more yellow than green. It was more of yeah, more yellow, more aquas than than greens. All right, set that. Awesome, killing it. Oh, let's see if I can get some of these shots of this this barn that I liked, because there was this barn that I found on the hike, and I remember enjoying the reflections in the broken windows. So let's see. That'll be a cool one to do. It's a little wider. We'll play with that. I think I widened up so that I could be able to adjust I could play with the crop a little bit more. I think the 2 to work on that one's pretty cool. That one's better. Now I'm straight on. Okay. So I'm going to set a rating to 1 and a rating of 1. And these are the ones we're going to work on. Let's start with this. Start with the crop. Step 1, open that up. Step 2, correct my horizon. Nice and easy, just like that. Perfect. That horizon correction tool, by the way, is phenomenal. It's real easy to use. You just click on the little level here and drag it and draw a line to what the horizon should be, what part you want it to be straight, and it'll do it for you. All right, so texture. Yeah, this photo's gonna be about texture. Clarity, not so much. Clarity's a little too aggressive for this. Dehaze, also kind of not what I want to do. I might do some more with it, but not right now. What I'd like to do is separate the windows from everything else. And the way to do that is what? Color range, kind of my thinking. Current thought, color range is the way to go, and just pull it off of most of the rest of it. But even doing that, I'm still getting, okay, to start. All right, if I tell it to subtract a luminance range, that's where you start having the fun interplays here. Helps a bit. Okay, good. We are going to subtract with a brush, because I'm just going to be able to get rid of a lot of the stuff up here. That density is going back up to what it should be. We're going to get rid of a lot of this stuff. I'm going to do an inverted one of these as well. So I'll have basically separating the barn from the windows. Come along. You'll notice I'm clicking a little bit less here because this one is a little bit, at least this part is less specific. Now we're going to zoom in and start working. I wonder if I could do another subtract color range. Get that. No, things are all the same color. Okay. Get rid of that one. Go back to our brush, and we're going to do this by hand. Which, worse things have happened. Actually, the nice thing is with a lot of these windows being broken out, there's, neatness counts a little bit less, and then I just got to worry about this edge here. Yeah, that's fine. Clear that, get rid of this. Good. That all looks pretty fine. Yeah, okay. Let's go over here. Let's get rid of this stuff. Same thing up top here, just like that. Good. Very nice. A little bit on the side there, a little bit up top. Awesome. So now, now we can start pushing the temperature on that. Now we can up the clarity there to make those pop a little more. I'm not sure I want to bring up the highlights too much because I don't want to lose the detail, but I do like having them brighter. Even turning the shadows up a little bit is a good idea. Blacks can stay where they are. Whites, I don't know. Might be better off using highlights. No, highlights seem more effective. Seem like they're doing more. Let's go with whites. It seems like it's a more subtle adjustment there. Texture can stay right where it is. That looks pretty good. Okay, let's do let's do a duplicate and invert. Get that whole section. We're going to adjust our luminance range a little more. See if we can adjust our color range more as well. See if we can do about pushing that stuff out. There we go. Luminance range. Good. All right. And the good thing is this will be a little bit easier to do. Maybe how I should have done it before, but now I can. Nope, that's an add brush now. Subtract brush, please. Now we can subtract everything in here that hasn't been kind of corralled already. All right, I'm realizing, glancing at my screen, this is starting to look like it's a, yeah, like I'm broadcasting from the Blair Witch Project. So give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna turn some lights on. That's starting. That's a little better. Let's take that. Just brighten them up. That's much better. Makes me feel more like a person. Okay. There's one. This one's 2. I'm actually going to go with a little smaller brush so I can kind of get into these corners a little more aggressively. Usually I'm wary of using smaller brushes because they do tend to, yeah, it's like trying to draw with a finer point. You get a little bit. You feel, yeah. Oop, wrong brush. Yeah, like drawing with a fine point, you feel like you gotta be a little more precise with it. And that's normally fun. That's normally daunting, but in this case, it's actually pretty good because I want to get into those corners. Let's do the color overlay on a colored thing so I can see what I'm trying to erase here. That helps. Yeah, leave some of that darkness there. Good. Let's get rid of this stuff. Sometimes I'll do is I'll click. That's not what I want to do on this one. Okay, cool. Let's go over here. Look at this overlay. Let's get rid of all this. Talking about upgrades to Lightroom, I feel like at some point we are going to draw a box around the object. As a masking tool. That'll be nice. Man, these photos got a lot more involved than I thought they were going to today. I thought this was going to be kind of a quick let's go through some photos from Vermont, but this ended up being a lot more involved than I was planning on. But that's fine. All right, now we've got this. Now we can play with texture. In this case, I do want to play with the clarity because I want this to be really bold. I can dehaze a little bit, but I don't think I want to. I want to push this toward yellow, though. I'm going to lean into that. I want to push away from green so that the green stands out. That's a little too purple. Let's scale that back a bit. Something like that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's come down to here. Push the saturation a little bit on those green guys on the windows so they stand out a little bit more. Cool. Let's come down to our colors. I want to push the greens a little bit more blue. Actually, do I want to do that or do I want to just darken them? I kind of just want to darken them. Yeah, yellow's going to affect everything. Let's leave yellow alone. I'm going to push the dark and push this a little bit darker. I don't have any blues in this photo, which is kind of cool. Let's push up the reds because I like how bold those reds are. Could brighten them as a frame. I think that draws the attention away. Let's just darken them with a lot of saturation. That'll be cool. Oranges are going to play a role. Oranges are going to be all over this thing. So let's bring them up and then let's bring them down and then crank the saturation a little more. There we go. Getting a nice, yeah, cool. Now let's just pull the yellows up a bit without losing too much, and now we can bring it, and that brings out the greens even more as well. Aqua's really not playing much of a part. Blues the same way. Purples, nah, purples and magentas are seemingly kind of out of the count. This photo's got very specific colors it's working with, which is good. Let's bring up those greens. Let's push the greens a tiny bit toward blue. Make them stick out a little bit more, though. Although as I said, a lot of this Vermont stuff wasn't a bluish green. It was a yellow green. Just kind of might take on Vermont. Not even Vermont. Take on Green Mountain, Vermont. I don't want to lose that. I want to keep the. Yeah, I like that. That gets 3 stars. What's it like in black and white? Just out of curiosity. This one's. Nah, this one. The color contrast makes this one work. Let's work on this one. Same premise. Just different subject. All right, we're gonna come down, so we're just getting the peak of the roof. Good. Gonna come up, so we're just getting the bottom of the barn. Gotta fix our horizon there, which same thing, right across the bottom of the window. Alright, I'm sorry, we're gonna try that again, because I feel like this horizon is definitely off, and you seem to be disagreeing with me. That's better. That feels more correct. Let's go with negative 0.5, somewhere in the middle. Cool. Okay. Got a lot of the same detail here. Yeah, if I want to play with clarity. Dehazing will be cool as well. Texture for sure. Texture I'm going to go ahead and do something with right now. Everything else we're going to do with masking. I'm going to try something. I'm going to see if this is any quicker to do than the last one. Okay. Okay, so I want a linear gradient. We're going to make boxes. And then brush off the stuff we don't need. So these are going to be real sharp lines. Alright, subtract with another gradient. That. Okay. One more time, one more subtract the sum of the brush. That's just to get this crossbeam out of here. Nice. All right, let's come over here. I'm gonna do. End up making 2 brushes. Might end up making the whole process a little bit more difficult, but we'll go with it. We'll see. That's why we're experimenting. It's part of the fun. Back. Cool. Subtract, linear, same deal. One of these days I'm gonna come back on and do some more Alaska stuff, or more things that are just more classic landscapes, because I realize this is probably not exactly what people expected. And now I should be able to subtract a luminance range and get the blacks out of there. And that worked just about perfectly. A little more color there, just like that. One more subtract brush. We're gonna clear out stuff that's up here. Doesn't need to be there. And then we're just going to get these two cross beams, which are going to come into 100%. Apparently I'm more coordinated going side to side than I'm going up and down. Let's try going down. A lot more coordinated going side to side. At least it feels easier. Okay, cool. So there we go. We got our two masks. Let's see. Now we can adjust these individually to get that effect where we want it. Let's do this from here. Up those blue, up those greens. Yeah, something like that. All right, so 38, negative 71, 60, 100, negative 15. So 38, negative 71. Let's see, highlights were up to 60. Let's see, what else did we do? Claire's up to 100. Dehaze was negative 15. There's one more, wasn't there? Is that it? Nah, got it. Okay. Now looking at this mask, I want to brighten it up a little more. I want those whites to be a little bit whiter. There we go. Something like that. Good. So now we're going to do a duplicate and invert so we get everything but. In this case, we are going to have to sort of. Can't do anything. Let's see. Nah, I can't really get it to react to another mask. So we are going to have to. Let me do a brush edit on this one. Subtract with brush. Because yeah, I think I do some weird intersections, and those would be strange. So let's just do it this way. This is probably easier. I might be able to do a subtract with a color range. Let's try that. I'll switch this overlay to a color I can see more easily. There we go. Color that's not involved in this. Pretty good. I like that. Let's zoom in here. Go back to our subtract brush, and we can continue to sort of polishing this area up. That did a decent amount of the work for me. Also, wow, switching the overlay to blue makes this whole thing feel like it's happening. It feels like it's later at night than it is. That is interesting. Okay, let's come down to here. Same thing. Get rid of this. Cool. So now we got everything else selected. Now we can play with clarity, dehaze, and color. I love the almost glistening effect I'm getting from the doors down there. Absolutely love that. I don't even want to dehaze it that much. Honestly, clarity helps it. It's kind of also taking away from some of that. So that was shadows instead of blacks. Let's push this a little more toward gold for sure. Same deal, push toward purple. Equally same deal. Lightroom, stop moving my panels. We can probably do the saturation with this guy down here, because those oranges are going to be really nice, and the reds as well. Once again, aquas and blues, not really playing in. Nah, only in terms of that they very briefly touch on purple. Let's bring the yellows down. Let's push the oranges and the reds and have the yellows be low. And that'll give us some really nice contrast, and it is. It's giving us some great contrast. Though it's hurting the windows. We're gonna have to come back to that. Let's see. We will push our greens up though. We'll make sure those stay vibrant. Let's see. Push both of those to red so we get some more red in there. Brighten up our greens. Push those magentas up a little bit. No, I just kind of like them darker. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna push this up a little more. Yeah, that's better. Still like this angle. I think that's better. That feels better. Cool. Let's see. Come down to that hinge, make that hinge the bottom of the photo. That works. And then how high can I go before I start to get to the edge of that roof? There it is. It's like the roof. That roof has an edge on it. Let's go with that. There we go. Let's go back to our masks. Those greens come through a little more. 16 and negative 100, same deal. Negative 100 down to 16. Let's go a little bit brighter, a little more saturated. Nice. Takes a little too much saturation. I think we can pull this down to. That's not enough. Let's go to 35. This one as well. can go to, it's not going to go all the way same way. It's going to go to 65. Nice. Why did I click on that? Don't need to crop this. Need to just have it sit there and be done. So that looks good. Set that rating to 3 as well. Interesting little barn photos there. And black and white doesn't have the same punch. A little bit, but I think I really like the way the color works down here. Like that's what is drawing my attention right now. All right, let's see what else we got. We did some reflections. I forgot I worked on this. Yeah, that actually looks really cool. What kind of masking did I do? Okay, circular masks and two different colored linear ones. Playing with some of the water, the ripples there. Still like that. Not sure it's done yet, but I like it. Yeah, some reflection shots. We had a little bit of water coming down that day, which was kind of fun. What's this? Little ferns standing up right in the middle of the forest with some of the little patches coming down. There you go. Nice. That's a simple one. That. We kept finding these little dioramas throughout this hike. This was, yeah, Ladybug Street, sun-kissed city, and some nice decorative rocks. In here, I don't know if I got a photo that was really good enough to really get in there. Look at this. Stop trying to do masks. We had a little swing. A couple little things in there. A little seat and table. Yeah, they've done some work to make this area look really pretty, and give it little stories, which was very cool. The swing was was unexpected and awesome. That's right. There was the cemetery at the very beginning. Which, you want to talk interesting? Yeah, there's a cemetery that I forget. I think this cemetery has some kind of interesting distinction about being one of the oldest in the country. But yeah, there's Revolutionary War veterans buried in this cemetery. But I remember, on the way out, I stuck around to try to take a couple shots because there was this one white poplar tree just kind of in the middle of the thing that caught my attention. I want to see if I can do something with it. Some of the gravestones in the foreground, maybe? I don't... Doing shots of the graves now. One of these. That's better. Let's try this one. Step 1, tree's got to be centered. First things first. Step 2, get rid of that, and then recenter the tree. Probably crop it until we get rid of the graves on either. Get rid of some of those graves on either side. Something like that. Okay. Good start. We can go ahead and we can pull up the bottom, so we don't need cut out some of that space. Cut down the top. This becomes the graves in the tree. And that becomes the important part of the photo and nothing else. Good. Clarity is not going to help us in this one. Dehazing will. Dehazing is good. Texture? No. Texture and clarity are going to brighten up some of the brights. We don't want to do that. Pull the highlights down. Keep the shadows down though. Blacks, I may leave alone. I'm going to come back to this one. Back to the library, so there's maybe one more photo for the rest of the day. Find something that's simple enough and fun to do that catches my attention. Like big honking reflections there that I don't really want to do. I'm kind of bored of them. Let's see, Prospect Rock. Come up there and get some interesting sky shots. Not that they were... I think it makes some interesting colors in the rock there. Let's look at the drone shots from Prospect Rock. Apart from that, I did a couple panoramas. That's actually pretty much all I did. Oh, there's the panorama I did. Drone shots from Stratton. Those were interesting. We had a cool sunset that day. There's one of these that I've kind of edited and put up on put around. For the most part, I didn't do much with these. Yeah, this is the one. I'd say this is the one that I've shared because it was just encapsulated a lot of what was beautiful about being up there. That's cool to be able to capture that. By the way, that's a rainstorm. If you ever see that, if you ever look on a viewpoint, you see that. You see a big. It looks like the cloud kind of touches down in kind of a haze. Yeah, it's a rainstorm. So I was kind of keeping an eye on that while grabbing pictures. This could be interesting to try. Yeah, let's end on this one. See if I can make something happen. I think I can. Okay, everything is shadows. Highlights, whites. We're gonna work on this. This one's gonna be fun. Okay. Step one, let's play with a crop. All right. So I kind of want the peak of the mountain in there. I like the clouds up there. I don't know if I need them. Let's keep them for now. Highlights are what highlights are. I can bring them down a bit. Can't do a whole lot with them whites. It's going to be the same deal. It's just going to be less interesting. Blacks, we can bring up and get that. Shadows, we're going to start by bringing it up. I'm going to probably bring the shadows back down in a sec, but right now I want to use it to see if I can get this road. I want a color range. Because I want that. I do not want this to be blue. Let's put this back to green. That is decent. Okay, cool. So now we're going to subtract the brush and get rid of all this. Get rid of these houses. Oop, that's part of a road. Let's keep that. Get rid of the houses. Get rid of the treetops. All of that. Houses, 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 fancy rich people houses. Because this area is a private ski resort, not private, but is a ski resort, and therefore if you live near it, you probably have money. And I hope you don't hoard. Let's get rid of these, yeah. Let's get rid of the houses there. Get rid of this. Like every time I change my viewpoint, I'm finding just more houses. Okay, cool. That's all pretty good and allowed to be there. Get off that roof. Nice. So now we're gonna crank up the exposure on those guys. Just for a start. Okay, now we're gonna go back to the main edit. We're gonna put the shadows back down. We're gonna bring them up a little bit. About 60%. But here is where I want to play. Just put it on black and white. Yeah, that's better. Push that clarity all the way up. They'll be editing for a while. My hands are starting to cramp. Alright, let's adjust the crop a little more. Which reminds me of a computer game I used to play as a kid where you were. I don't remember the goal of it. But I just remember that I remember the goal being to get to the top of the top of the mountain, and it was kind of it was like a winter sports kind of thing. So you were, skiing and skating and penguin racing your way up this kind of zigzaggy curved path through the mountain. Kind of I feel like somebody looked at the Candyland board and based it on that, but that's what this is reminding me of. It's kind of unlocking that memory. Here we go. I can bring up the highlights. All right, bringing the text ups really helped that photo. Awesome. I'm sure this is noisy as I'll get out right now. Not too bad. This is on my old drone that was. I don't know. I prefer. I'm not a huge fan of DNG images. I feel like they don't have quite the same latitude that you get from like a CR2. But bring up those blues. Greens are gonna be big, so we're gonna bring the greens sort of down. Yellows are gonna bring up because that kind of gives us another bit of brightness there. Actually, what if I go the other direction? Bring up the greens, bring the yellows down. That was kind of better. I kind of like that better. And then we use we can remove the oranges, and that gives us this extra little patches. Gives a little more of that texture. Reds, we'll bring the reds up a bit. Purples, there's a surprising amount of purple in those roofs. Okay. The magenta is not really doing much. Okay, so we'll leave that alone. Put the reds back down. Let the purples do the lifting on that one. But this crop still feels off. Let's cut off the edge there. Let's bring it right to the corner. I guess theoretically I'd want it to be like this. Actually, I do. I think that's better. I want to have the top of the mountain there. No, I don't think I do. I think I want to have it come down like that. I guess I could pull this down a half a notch more. Give that guy a little bit of breathing room. Yeah, that works. Cool. All right, let me go back to that mask I have. Give me my subtract brush. I want to get rid of this section here if I can. There we go. Still a road, but doesn't quite tell the same story as the kind of main zigzag that we got going across the middle there. I like that better. Okay, I'm pretty decently happy with that. Let's bring the contrast up a little bit more. I like you can see the details. I also like that there's that bright streak of road running through it, and that's more interesting to me. All right, there's our rating. So cool. Well, thank you guys for joining me on this little adventurous run through Vermont. Looking back at it, I'm like, okay, I like a lot of these photos I took, but at the same time, I get why I didn't do too much with them. It's interesting to go back to an earlier spot on your photographic journey, or your storytelling journey in general, because it's all the same kind of thing. Communicating ideas through some abstract way, but yeah. It's interesting looking back on this is interesting because these are photos I took during the pandemic. These are photos I took very much in the middle of my mental health journey, which we're all still on, but I'm still very much in the middle of this. It was funny actually. I had a therapy appointment when I was up there, and we had to postpone because my therapist isn't licensed to practice in Vermont. So if you're doing telehealth, make sure that you are staying in state when you do that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting looking back, and that these photos are, in many ways, I look at them and I'm thinking this is all over the place. I'm sitting here going, what am I focusing on? What was in my head that day? And I think what was in my head that day was just kind of that weird pressure to find something meaningful without a whole lot of intentionality to it. So I ended up taking photos of bloody everything, selfies included, which I usually don't do. The shot of that squirrel. Yeah, look at him. That little guy. Let's turn that clipping off. He's adorable. Just hanging out. Little red squirrel. Just hanging out on that tree up there. Wish he was in focus there. He's giving me a bit of a look. But yeah, we'll start with the bear and end with the squirrel. I like him. He's cute. But yeah, just interesting looking back at these photos and seeing what I saw, and now editing them and trying to seeing if I can find meaning in something that was very chaotic. I don't know. It's interesting to think about. It's interesting to look back. All right. So with that said, yeah, thank you guys for joining me for a couple hours today. Go ahead and switch this back to just me. There we go. Yeah. So thank you for joining me for a couple of hours on this on editing today. Happy to be part of this and to be celebrating photos and artistic journeys and the movement of toes. Just the collection of things we care about. Postcards again are available on my website and on Etsy. Just go to search Twisted in Nature. Find me on Instagram. You can find pretty much everything from there, I think. Or go to erichackler.com, and if you click on photography, you can find both those things. So that's probably might be the easiest way. erichackler.com, nice and simple. With that said, one other thing that I like to end the stream with, a cool announcement, is we've been accepted. My work has been accepted into 3 more publications: the Top Posters magazine, UA Models magazine, and Figgy magazine, which is cool. No word on where I'm gonna be, whether it's a cover spread or it's gonna be something else, but the Top Posters magazine is Alaska. It's a series called Alaskan Lifescape, which I've done a couple of their publications with that and that's an exploration of just the beautiful life that exists in Alaska, and it's a bunch of lush photos of Alaska as opposed to the typical thoughts of Alaska of just kind of the austere, cold, distant ice-filled area. Though there are some mountains in it, so some ice, but in a good way. And then the other series in UA Models and Figgy is called Beyond That White Horizon, and it's a collection of black and white photos of shorelines and ocean and water. So yeah. All right. Well, with that said, with that shared, and with just kind of to wrap up today, thank you as always for joining. Thank you. It does mean a lot to be part of this and to be able to share the work that I do with people and with you. And yeah, just keep creating, keep doing awesome things, stay on your photographic journey, look in your artistic journey in general, look back at what you've done, see if and see what you find in there that might have meaning, because it is cool to be able to go back and say, okay, where was I developmentally on the course of this, and see what ideas over the course of years you latched onto and explored more fully. So yeah, so with that all said, be safe, be well, keep moving your toes. Maria Lisa's waving at us, and we will we'll do this again next time. Be safe, be well, be creative. Later.